Cue the music. Today, I just have a very short thing to do. You know what I'm doing. If I'm looking down this way, you know what's coming. Mr. Scissors. This is becoming a weird Mr. Scissors. Again, I feel like making another Mr. Rogers' Neighborhood reference, as if my podcast is turning into some kind of children's show where everything has its place and everything has its name. Actually, you know what? I probably would love to do a children's show like that. Mr. Leith's Island. Wow, this is kind of cool because here's what they did for this book. This is the only book I'm just unboxing one little book. They put a piece of cardboard in here, wholesale to retail shift with boxes on pallet, some clear note that is in the warehouse of wherever I bought this from, which is Powell's Books in Chicago. That's interesting. A little background detail. Unfortunately, it goes into the recycling pile and will be destroyed. I bought this book because little note. Trash. Actually, I should recycle that too. This is just something that I've always been fascinated by, and I need to stop saying the word fascinating. It's getting ridiculous. This is something that I've always been interested in, and I've just never found a place where I could indulge that interest. Postcard history of the passenger liner. You know, the passenger liner during the early 20th century, late 19th century, early 20th century, the steamships that carried people around the world, and the White Star Line, the American line. And I love those postcards. I love the way that this was, showing the world coming together, through tourism, obviously, but still at the same time, it was a time in history when people were just learning about the world, and they were just intrigued by the different parts of the world. It was like the culmination of the age of sail in steam form, and it was done through cruises. And this is just tons and tons of, as you can see, postcards. This is every page. Every page I've been flipping through is like the ones that I just showed you, are like the ones I just showed you. And I just can't. There's so many postcards in here that there are no full page. See, different places around the world. There are no full page plates because there's just too much content. The Hansa Line in the Far East, East Africa and the West Indies, the Empress of France. I love this stuff. It's just amazing to me. What it must have been like to live in that time when they were just learning about the different parts of the world, just going out to experience them, and people were coming together, learning about each other, all the different cultures and ways of living, and people were trading with each other, talking with each other, drinking with each other, exchanging stories, and even maybe a little romance. You never know. I mean, a lot of kids might have cropped. I mean, not a lot. Maybe, I'm sure a lot of kids cropped up from this time. And people, you encounter something a little exotic, and you're like, oh, I've never seen a woman who looks like that. I've never seen a guy who looks like that. And there's just sort of all this stuff that happens. Or, just not even sexual. It could just be, I've never met someone who had that religion. I've never met someone from that part of the world. I'm going to go talk with them. I've never hung out with someone who lived that kind of lifestyle, and now they're in this restaurant, and I'm going to buy that person a drink, and we're going to share stories. that to me is, I know a lot of bad things happened in that time, and those deserve to be addressed. But just because bad things happen, it doesn't mean that you have to dismiss the good things that happened. How many friendships were forged? How many things were learned? How many romances came together during that time? Not just romances, but just how many awesome one-night stands must have happened during that time. All this stuff, all those things are things that have to be taken into the mix, and it's not just a one-sided thing. There's a lot of nuance. There's a lot of bad things that happened during that period of time, but you can just imagine on the individual human level the sort of cool stuff of people coming together. I mean, that's the thing, man. The best friends I've ever known are people who have different views and different backgrounds, and they just bring stuff to my life. My friend John and a lot of my other friends just bring stuff into my life, things that I haven't thought of, and I hopefully bring some stuff like that into their lives. And that period in history was a time when this was really going on a lot, and it was going on through the cruise lines, and you can trash the tourist culture. That's fair. But it was an avenue for people from different parts of the world to come together. It shouldn't just be looked at from the perspective of the tourists. The people who were in the places that were being visited, they had experiences too, and they forged friendships. They learned things. They were attracted to people. It went both ways. It just so much human stuff going on during this period. And if we only focus on the bad parts of that, well, there's a saying there's a Chinese classic called the Wen Tzu, which is that if you only look for the bad things, you're going to find bad things in everything. And if you only look for the good things, you're going to find good things in everything. So what we should do is, you don't ignore the bad things. You address them. You confront them. But at the same time, you realize that there were also good things happening then. Also, human beings forging friendships and relationships and learning things from each other. And that's the sort of thing that makes me hopeful for the future, because it shows how little glimmers of light are always shining through when people come together. So that's the kind of inspiration I get from that period. Again, I've kind of gone off. This is a really beautiful book. You should, there are copies of it out there. I think I got this. This was obviously resale, and it's just, you can just see the sort of that period. It's very, very period. And if you like the movie Titanic, this is from that period. If you just like to see how people from around the world were thinking about each other. Oh, this is fascinating. Kitano Maru, Atsuta Maru, and these are Japanese ships. I love this stuff. I love people coming together, even if it's a mix of good and bad. I just like I like people coming together. That's what the drama of life is about. So, anyway, if you like this sort of thing, you know what the 3 words are: like, share, subscribe, and I'll bring you more stuff like this. Some longer, some shorter, in Thoughts of Leith.